Hello and welcome to this technically second, but really first time for the officially unofficial Mandalorian after show. That was the way. My name is John Mark Tully, and before we get started, let's get you all introduced to our panels, which will be taking you through each and every week as we discuss every episode of The Mandalorian. First, she is a writer. She's written for, who have you written for again?
I've written for Star Wars Insider a few times about wildlife, and I've also written some science papers and stuff like that for Scientific American. And I work at Scripps
Okay.
Institution.
This, of course, is Melissa Miller.
Hi.
Also joining us, he is the host of, well,
He has a terrible internet connection. Brian Miller. Woo!
I was going to say that he is the host of what has been of one of the top 50 must listen to Star Wars podcasts on the internet today. Yeah. It is the one, the only, the host of the Star Wars Canon podcast, and a good friend of mine, Mr. Brian Miller. No relation that I know of.
We'll see. Yeah, not that I know.
I was going to say that too. We've got to say the no relation thing. You know, it's the first time I've gotten it.
That we know of.
That we know of. It's true.
That we know of. Mm-hmm. I'm going to see if I can hold this together because I've got like classic trilogy Falcon, like Empire Strikes Back Falcon malfunctions going on right now.
So. No, I swear I fixed it.
It's not my fault.
Still my favorite lines in the original trilogy.
I love it.
Yeah.
They told me
guys, it's finally we finally got it.
We got it.
We got it. It is finally here. Season 2, Chapter 9, The Marshal. First, before we get started into breaking this whole thing down, initial thoughts. Melissa, we'll start with you.
I mean, I love a Western, so the opening, sequence or whatever, I guess it's not the opening sequence, but once he gets to Tatooine, just that stereotypical ride into town, people, staring at him from the porches, tying up his horse, his speeder bike. I even said out loud, I'm like, wow, no one has like spit into a spittoon. Amazing. And then sure enough, like 30 seconds later, there's a spittoon. I mean, the line, we haven't had a stranger around here in a long time. I was like laughing maniacally at the Western tie-ins. I loved it.
And now I'll get to your thoughts here in a second, but one thing I found interesting that I didn't realize that I don't know if either one of you are familiar with the series Deadwood.
Oh, yeah.
Which had Timothy Oliphant, and I think Brian froze again on us. Either that or he's just smiling.
I mean, and to me, he's Marshal Raylan Givens from Justified. I really wondered if the writers wrote the name of the episode The Marshal, and the casting director was like, well, we just have to call Timothy Oliphant. The end.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Yeah. And he's back.
Come back.
I was just talking to her. We're talking about the Western aspect of it. And one thing I thought was, now I asked Melissa, did you ever watch I think it was the HBO series, Deadwood?
What was it?
Familiar with that? Timothy Deadwood?
Oh, yeah.
The Weequay was also in Deadwood with Timothy Oliphant, the guy who played the Weequay.
Okay.
And basically played the same type of character. So
that's great.
But yeah, Brian, your initial thoughts on this episode?
We'll see if we can get through this before my computer decides to take a crap. Dude, what an episode. Like, this was one of the most amazing, season kickoffs I've ever seen for anything. And I don't know if you guys know it or not, that one-eyed Cyclops guy he was there to talk to at the beginning was John Leguizamo, or how do you say his name?
John Leguizamo. I saw that.
Yeah,
it was like, what?
Yeah, I didn't realize it was even him, but that's who it was. That was a great episode. Absolutely great. From beginning to end, it was just, I squealed. I've watched it twice now. I watched it with my wife too. She fell asleep right as it was starting, and I was like, well, I don't care. I'm watching. I can't wait. I'm watching it. So, but we watched it. I watched it twice now. Jesus. Oh my God. Oh
yeah.
Those are my initial thoughts, guys. So coherent. That's what it is.
Well, let's start off from the beginning, and we catch up with the Mandalorian, looking in the search for other Mandalorians to help him search down the Jedi, which I thought was interesting. That instead of just searching like I'm going to search for the Jedi, no, he's searching for the Mandalorians who can then help him find the Jedi. And we see him on this planet. Doesn't say where it's at, but you can tell it's a seedy underground. And if you notice the artwork, it looks like there's a lot of homage to the Clone Wars. There's a lot of you see pictures of clone helmets and I think Brian just froze up on us again.
Yeah, I was certainly jealous of whatever production designer got to decide what Star Wars graffiti looks like, because that's not a thought process I've ever gotten to take off on, but I really enjoyed that sort of setup for that planet.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and one thing I wanted to talk to Brian, if Brian is, are you there, Brian?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah, you guys are froze, but I think I'm still here.
Yeah, it might be.
Yeah, you're here.
I love seeing your Star Wars swag, but I've always heard it's better if you turn off your video. You might.
Do I need to? I can probably do that. Hang on. Maybe that'll help.
Tell us when you're frozen somehow.
That's fine. No worries.
Okay. One thing I want to talk to you about, Brian, is since you're the canon master here, there's some talk. I was watching some videos in preparation for this about not a droid uprising, but like a pro-droid movement that was going on during this time, and they I guess they kind of hint at it with some of the murals that are in that opening scene.
Right, because you do see that, like the protocol droid face and the graffiti and stuff like that. Yeah, there was this whole like L3 finally got what she wanted, even though she wasn't a droid anymore. Like there was these droid rights going on. Yeah, it was kind of crazy to see just that little Easter egg thrown in there.
And I love seeing the alien when you finally get into the fight pit or whatever you want to call it. Seeing all those aliens again, and new aliens we hadn't seen, ones we've seen before, and of course seeing the Gamorrean guards. And this is one thing I loved is they didn't change them. They didn't try to make them cool, and they're still just the little rubber guys who can't move hardly at all. And that was just so awesome.
But way more toned.
And seeing
way more toned.
What's that?
Way more toned.
Yeah. No, I love.
Yeah.
I mean,
but seeing the one fly across the. What's that?
Well, Jabba's palace is one of my favorite sequences from the movies. So to have any callbacks to that always makes me really happy. Like the gatekeeper droid in season 1, I love that. So. Yeah,
I love seeing the one Gamorrean dive over the WWE style, almost just diving over that and then taking a face plant.
Yes.
But yeah, you get a little bit of the this was just mostly just to set up what's going to come next, which of course we end up back on Tatooine. Now, guys, what do you think about being back on Tatooine? There's some people who might think that we've seen Tatooine so much, but it's like a warm hug, a warm sandy hug.
I was
go ahead.
Yeah, I was fine with it as long as I liked that the Mandalorian also was like, I was just there. So like, as long as once he acknowledged that we've been there a lot, I was fine with going back there.
Mm-hmm. See, for me, Tatooine.
And we're in a different.
Oh, go ahead, Mark.
Sorry. I did like the fact that we're in a different part of Tatooine. We've been to Mos Eisley, we've been to Mos Espa. Let's see something, another part of the planet, which we do. So, we arrive at Tatooine, and immediately we're sent to this looks like this small little mining village in the middle
not
of
immediately.
nowhere.
First, we get my favorite side character from season 1, which is the mechanic. Love her. Love Amy Sedaris.
Oh yeah.
Yes, she was great.
And not just her, we get that R5 cameo.
Yeah.
And not only that, I found this out. I found this out. This comes directly from Dave Filoni himself. That is the original R5.
Is it really?
It is supposed to be the original R5 with a broken
so cool.
motivator. The
That's
whole
so awesome.
He said he loved the idea that he never got off Tatooine, that he got stuck there.
Yeah,
that's so awesome.
All this time. That
the
is
second
supposed to be
time
the original R5.
The second time I watched it, I saw he has like a little bit of like an oil stain on the top of his head, and I'm like, I swear that's right where he like scorched himself or whatever.
He popped the motivator. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Because I didn't notice it the first time, but I noticed it the second time, and I wanted it to be the same prop, intended to be the same character. That makes me really happy.
As soon as she turned around and screamed R5, and before he even popped up, I'm like, no way, this is R5D4. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Because being a canon junkie, there's a story, and from a certain point of view, that it's the story of him talking to R2 on the Jawa Sandcrawler, and R2 convinced him to pop his motivator so he could be the droid that Luke got. So R5 popped it on purpose, and then that's where he ended up. I love it.
Oh, that makes me so happy. I love that.
Yeah, I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, hopefully he's had a good luck,
But yeah, we're then, we're on our way to this small little town, which you're going to kill me, but I cannot remember the name of the town.
Mos Pelgo.
Mos Pelgo.
That's why there's three of us here,
Yeah. One of us will get get it right, and you see immediately that it's just this, like you said, it's very much a western, very much spaghetti western. At this point, you're getting vibes of like The Man with No Name and The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, and all those classic Clint Eastwood. You're not from around these parts, are you? Type of thing. And
they just kept hitting those tropes, and I loved it. So
walking
the woman
in,
stepping out of the shadows, and
and then of course we're soon introduced to the Timothy Oliphant character. And what was the first thing you saw when you saw the Boba Fett armor?
That was like, that armor reveal was amazing. I didn't see it coming. I didn't watch the preview. I don't know if that was in the preview, but I was shocked.
No. The first thing I thought was, that's not Boba Fett.
Right.
The minute I saw the armor, the way he was wearing the armor, the way he was standing, I'm like, that's not Boba.
Aren't you a little tall to be a Mandalorian?
Yeah. Yes.
What's that?
Aren't you a little tall to be a Mandalorian?
Yeah. That was the thing. The armor didn't fit him right.
Right.
Yeah.
The armor it looked odd on him.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, you get the scene where he takes the helmet off, and you see that it's not him.
Well, and even before you see his face, the fact that he just takes the helmet off as soon as he sits down, already we know, right? So already that's shocking to us. So.
Yeah.
Well, see, being like I said, I'm going to keep coming back to the canon thing. I'd heard the name Mos Pelgo before, and it was in the Aftermath novels. They had little interlude chapters, and one of them told the story of Cobb Vanth and how he got the armor and stuff. So as soon as he said he's going back to Tatooine, and they brought up Mos Pelgo, I started fanboying and geeking, because that's one of those times where it's rewarding to keep up on all this stuff and read all the novels and the comics and everything. And it's one of those things. Yes, we're getting this guy. Awesome.
Cool. I'll have to go back and read that, because
it's cool. Yeah. There's through that whole trilogy, in each book, there's one chapter that tells part of that story. Just one interlude chapter in each book that kind of tells his story of how he got the armor and kind of some of his adventures while wearing it and stuff. So as soon as he popped up in the show, for me, I was just like, please be Cobb Vanth. Please tell me your name's Cobb Vanth, because if it's not, I'm going to be so pissed. You know what I mean? Like, it has to be. And as soon as he said his name, I'm like, this is too perfect. This is great.
Yeah.
Do those novels also say what type of mining they're doing? Because I found it very odd that they just say mining guild, the mines,
I don't think they ever did.
Okay. If you don't know, I feel like
they never mentioned what type of I'm not sure what they would be mining on Tatooine.
Yeah, it was very
Who
mysterious.
knows?
Water. Well, the only
One thing, this is a little Easter egg that I thought you guys would find interesting. When he's telling the story of the how he, right before he got the armor, when the mining guilds or whatever, attacked the city. Right when he's you see the little scene where they're showing the Death Star getting blown up, the little hollow,
Right.
and the
The
text around
97
it.
version.
You know what that text said? Do you know what the text said? The little text in Arabic? Let's see if I can find. Little does Luke know that the Galactic Empire has secretly begun the construction of a new armored space station even more powerful than the first dreaded Death Star.
Is that really what it says?
That is actually what it says. They have the opening crawl going around in Arabic.
That is amazing.
So nerdy. I love it.
Yes, I love those little Easter egg things like that. They just pop up every once in a while. You're like, and we were talking about this last week about that's what we love is just those little things that you have to be a hardcore Star Wars fan. I only found out about that from seeing another video about it and someone mentioned it. I'm like, oh my gosh, that is so awesome.
I don't even remember there being text. I was too distracted by the fact that it's clearly the 1997 version of the explosion and not the 1983 version of the explosion.
Right.
Which, of all the updates, the explosions were actually acceptable. We don't need to get into it, but...
No. But yeah, it's getting back to kind of the overall story. We soon find out that there is something that has been terrorizing the village there for quite some time. And some will get Kevin Bacon. There's a giant earthworm underneath the sand. Yeah, it's a crate dragon, something that has been alluded to throughout not only canon but old legends before. And we finally get our first really good glimpse of one of these creatures. And
it was awesome.
It was pretty terrifying.
You're getting some like Game of Thrones vibes going on with it. Because it was...
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Massive.
Oh, God, huge. And
yeah,
my first thought before he said crate dragon, because... he didn't say that till after it ate the bantha, the first bantha, and he said, it's a crate dragon. My first thought was Sarlacc. Yeah, I was thinking Sarlacc for some reason because we had the Fed armor, and that's what my brain just automatically went to. And I was like, we're going to see a freaking Sarlacc like come out of it. It's going to be like a total Tremors thing. But as soon as he said it's a crate dragon, like I didn't realize I could get happier than I was with Sarlacc.
Yeah. Well, I mean, my thought was always with Sarlacc was I didn't think Sarlacc's moved.
Yeah, I don't think they do either now that you say that.
I thought they just like got somewhere and just like stayed there.
Yeah, that's probably something.
I'm not...
I would say I can consult my Wildlife of Stars book.
Oh, she's got the encyclopedia there.
Because that's another thing that Terrell... So I talked to Terrell Whitlatch, she's the author of this book, and there's a separate interview we'll put up with her. But yeah, I mean, the babies have got to get somewhere at some point, right? Depending on how it moves. But I immediately thought crate dragon after I thought Tremor.
Yeah, that was the first thing.
I thought crate dragon and was so excited.
Yeah. But yeah, there's a little bit of Dune in there too with the sandworms and little tremors, and they were just all over the place with this one, but it was just awesome.
Yeah, when was Dune supposed to come out? I wonder, was it supposed to be out by now? And people would be like, thinking that even more had the movie come out on time. So I just don't remember.
Is it out?
I don't know.
It's not out now because of the pandemic, but I don't remember when it was originally supposed to come out. So.
Yeah.
Stupid COVID.
Anyway, I know. So he agrees. The two strike a deal that he will give up the armor if he helps him take care of this crate dragon, and he knows just the people to help him do that, and they are Not just the men, but the women and the children too will help. And of course, see what I did there?
It's clever.
I know, right? They're the Sand People, Tusken Raiders, and again, this is right back to classic cowboys and Indians Western. The native, help working with the native population to to help.
Right.
So even a little bit of, without necessarily all the comedy, but a little bit of Blazing Saddles, where trying to overcome the racism and
right. No, I thought
working together to fight this common enemy.
Yeah.
Right.
I thought it was good that they didn't seem to shy away from the conflicts. We've killed them, they've killed us. Who started what? We're taking resources from their land.
Yeah, I
thought it was great they didn't shy away from that, and how awkward and uncomfortable and difficult.
And I like the fact that they didn't. And I like the fact that they didn't put the blame on. There was nothing like, well, you're to blame for this or you're to blame for that. It was just like, this is the way it is. We've done bad things. You've done bad things. We've done bad things to each other. But now we have a common enemy, so we need to get past all that and focus on this common threat that's a threat to all of us. Mm-hmm. And then we can deal with any other ramifications that come in after that. But it wasn't like, and this is going to sound bad, but it wasn't trying to push down humans bad,
right,
type of things.
Right.
It was just like, hey, we've made mistakes, let's move past it. We got this big huge dragon there, underground dragon, to take care of now, so let's take care of that.
And they also didn't give us the idea that everything is sunshine and roses now. There was an agreement. That agreement is, it's happened. The agreement is, we won't do anything to you until you do anything to us, or unless you do anything to us. So, it's still a tenuous sort of truce. And I think that's, realistic. So. Mm-hmm.
I liked how everybody was like, the Sand People are savages. And then Mando comes along. He's just like, have you tried talking to them? Like, we could just try that.
Yeah. No, it's a simple sort of character.
A nice little thing really was that.
Respect him.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. I think it was cool that they hired someone who knew American Sign Language to try to come up with the communication, the sign communication that the Tuskens did with the Mandalorian. Mm-hmm. I thought that was kind of a neat touch to get that in. So
yeah,
No, I agree.
But yeah, you get this. I mean, it was just. There's so much to talk about. I don't even know where to start.
Tell me how much you loved seeing the Banthas going in single file, because I was so excited.
Yes, that's the first. I was going to mention that.
I never even realized that.
The first thing I thought of Obi-Wan. I thought the line from Obi-Wan saying about how Sand People always travel in single file to hide their numbers, and you see them going in single file. I'm like,
think of that.
Every shot, single file, and it. I mean, that's a very basic line. I think a lot of people remember. So you'd be really getting it wrong if you just had them, spread out or whatever. But I still appreciated just that attention to detail.
Right.
So.
Oh, can we talk about the Tusken Raider brushing the teeth of the Bantha for a second? Because here's what's funny about that. Here's back in 1978. I saw this on Facebook earlier. In '78, there was a sci-fi magazine talking about the gaffy stick, the Tusken gaffy stick, and they were talking about how that end of it looked just like a gum stimulator on the end of a toothbrush, that little spike. And they were like, so maybe that's what it's for, but maybe not. We don't know. And so here you see a Tusken Raider using it to brush his Bantha's teeth. Like, it was a nice little callback to something. I don't know if that's coincidence or if they did that on purpose or what, but.
And to take something so scary, being a kid and having the Tusken Raider raise that above his head and
it's a toothbrush.
And then it turns out that it. Loved it.
Loved it. It's funny. It's absolutely great.
And again, it's not part of the scene. It's just like as the camera is panning through the camp, like.
And it's something that a nomad would be doing with their steed, like, you know what I mean, like taking care of them, tending to them, and cleaning their teeth or whatever. Even though the thing gets, eaten and then blown up at the same time the next day. You know what I'm saying? Like, but it was kind of cool to see that.
Well, and you get this sense that these banthas are everything for the Tusken Raiders. They're probably a source of they probably drink the milk from them. Their ways of transportation, their food. They probably use parts for shelter. So they probably use every bit of these. So yeah, they're gonna take care of these animals. They're gonna treat them with respect, because that's how they survive, is through these banthas.
Yeah.
But we have no problem strapping a bunch of bombs to one of them.
Yeah.
And feeding it to a great dragon.
No. This is another.
You got to do what you got to do.
This is another part. I did talk about it with Tara Whitlatch earlier too, where she worked out this whole lore that Tusken Raiders, when they come of age, get like bonded to a bantha of the same age, and then they are basically walk through life together. And it's their bantha and their Tusken Raider. And so knowing that sort of mythology at the time when they one has to go up and sacrifice their bantha, and it turns out that the bantha doesn't get eaten and the Tusken Raider does. Spoilers. But
that was awesome.
But the whole sequence, I was just like, oh no, but they're like bonded pairs, and maybe that's not canon or whatever. But in the wildlife guide that I'm so used to using, I was thinking about that the whole time.
That's dark.
It's
now
dark.
I'm sad.
Yeah.
Now I'm sad.
Yeah. No, that one goes under my list of there's a little sad face of like, oh, but the banthas are bonded pairs. So.
Rest in peace, random bantha.
Yeah.
But yeah, we get the the initial the showdown. Well, you first see the bantha, and then they realize quickly that they don't have enough people to take down this creature, not the bantha, the crate dragon, and they're going to need help from the village. And we've already hinted at this, so how do you think that? I mean, we've kind of talked about that, and the initial reaction from the villagers of hesitation, but then quickly realizing that we can't do this by ourselves, and we're going to need help.
Yeah, Marshal is a good politician, if nothing else. A good speech giver of we can't do this ourselves, and God forbid they go after the school. Like, oh man, you can't disagree with him now.
That was something straight out of Woody's Roundup on Toy Story 2.
Yeah.
So right, oh yeah, the who plays the kids in that? I forget.
I don't.
It's like the monkeys or something like that.
Yeah, something. Yeah, it's.
I just had it. Yeah, okay.
We gotta save the school, Bullseye.
Yeah.
Oh, I was packing peanuts. Packing peanuts. That's what it was. Yeah. But yeah, when he brought up the school, that was the most Western thing.
Right.
Yeah.
He could have said, and even the way he said it, or God forbid the school, and everyone's like, oh yeah, you got a point there. Like,
oh yeah. Yeah.
For all 6 buildings in our town, how many kids do we have going to school?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, we get some really interesting. I like the fact that they took the idea of the fire-breathing dragon, but instead of having it spew fire, it was like this acid. That's the only thing I can think of. This acid.
Yeah, I think that's what it was supposed to be.
Yeah, and I actually
because it looked like it disintegrated.
Yeah, because I tried to notice the second time I looked at it what it did to those that it spit on, and it wasn't really clear. They didn't disintegrate or go down to bones or anything like that.
Right.
But even if it's just stomach contents, that is acidic.
Acidic. Well, Cobb did say that it's picking us off, and he said that after a bunch of them got spewed. So I guess it was killing them.
Yeah.
I'm assuming. I don't know, but if it's just stomach contents, how is he
you
spewing
never
it and
really
killing
see it.
Tuskens? And then the Mando flies in or whatever. He
that's
pulls
car
the Men in
armor.
Black. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, my husband pointed out
Yeah.
that was a missed opportunity to say, I thought they smelled bad on the outside. When he comes out, all covered in goo.
Oh my
yes.
God, that'd be great.
Yes,
Right.
that was.
I know it probably would have been a little too much, but just thinking about it made me happy.
That would have been too on the nose.
Yeah.
And I thought, when they put the they got the charges down, and then it comes out and they first blow it up. The first thing I thought was like, that's too easy.
Yeah.
That was way too easy.
Of course.
And of course it was. So you have to have the whole and the throwback to when the I'll always forget his name, Timothy Oliphant's character is going to try and be the one to be the hero to fly in. And
it's my favorite Easter egg.
Yeah, that one spot.
He does this boom right there, just like in Return of the Jedi, and knocks that jetpack.
Where?
Where?
Yeah.
That is my favorite. I laughed so hard. That was because that was the one. Like, I love the R5. I loved all the other Easter eggs. Even Cobb's land speeder, which we haven't talked about yet, what it was made out of. But like that, the whole, he's like, you take care of the kid. And he hits it with the butt of his rifle and he takes off. Laughed my ass off. I'm sorry. That was absolutely. That's the way Star Wars nostalgia is supposed to be executed.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is perfect.
Yeah. And any naysayer now who for however many decades has been like, well, it wouldn't be that easy. Boba Fett's a badass. It would take more than Han just like bonking into him. Be like, no, apparently he hit the magic spot that all Mandalorians know about.
He had a faulty jetpack.
Right.
Yeah, it had to have been what it was.
But it was also cool though, seeing all the little tools on Boba Fett's armor, the eyepiece,
the reticule,
with the targeting sensor, and the fact that it was the original sound effects from the original Star Wars. Yeah, that was, and the fact that he has to bend down to fire the rocket.
Yeah, I have questions about the targeting
cool.
system, but whatever.
Was that not the most Iron Man scene you've ever seen in Star Wars? And think about it, both by Jon Favreau. Iron Man and this episode were both Jon Favreau. And that was the most Iron Man thing he could have done.
You're right.
Yes.
So
that was awesome.
Yeah, I hope Timothy Oliphant was having fun in there. Like, I hope he's a total Star Wars fan. I hope this was just like Kid in a
I get to wear what?
Yeah, I think we do. The one thing that I enjoy, even though I love the character, I love the fact that I guess you could say one of the criticisms, or if there were any criticism for season 1, that it became the quote unquote show. And
sorry, the what?
I love the fact that this episode, the Baby Yoda show. Season 1 was kind of the Baby Yoda show.
Yeah.
I love the fact that in this one, the child took a back seat.
Yeah.
This was very front and center a Mando episode. Yes, Baby Yoda, the child was in it. But again, he kind of takes a back seat. He's not really front and center. There's a few mentions of him, but there's a few things that you almost kind of forget that he's there.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed that. Don't get me wrong. I love the child. Yeah, he's in the background just chilling, doing his thing. And
no, that's a good point. I hadn't really noticed it, but I do like that about this episode. I'm always frustrated when I don't feel like we've advanced the plot any. Like, if our goal was to find a Mandalorian, to find the Jedis, to find the child's homeworld, we did none of those things, but that's okay. Yeah. But I do like, you're right, that the child was just sort of there to coo in the background, and a couple, humorous moments with ears flapping. And I do love that he like closes the Bluetooth bassinet because he knows the Mandalorian's about to start shooting people. Like, some little, just some
yes, I did like that.
Yeah. But yeah, no, that's a good point.
Yeah, I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah.
But it gets me excited for where the show's going to end up going this season because
Yeah.
it's and obviously we gotta real quick before we get into the future of the season, we got to talk about the big cameo at the end.
Oh yeah.
The capital THE cameo.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mark, are you happy with the way it was executed?
Yes, very much so. I was a little iffy about, because for those of you guys, I know Brian kind of knows this, but I'm not sure. For me, Boba Fett has always been one of the most overrated characters in Star Wars. I've never been a Boba fan.
I agree.
But doing this and hopefully redeeming this character and making him, what he was supposed to be initially, I think it could go a long way for fans like me who were always just kind of like, Boba Fett, yeah.
Right.
But like I always say, my thing was always, right now, until we hear otherwise, I'm going to say yes.
I mean, I think so too, but someone pointed out to me today that it could just be one of a whole bunch of clones. So.
See, here's where I think the season's going to end up going. He's hunting down Mandalorians, and if he hears about this Mandalorian on Tatooine, so he goes to hunt this Mandalorian down, and he's hunting down to find the Jedi. So what Mandalorian do we know of that is on like first name basis with a Jedi? Sabine Wren from Rebels, and she knows Ahsoka, and we know Ahsoka is going to be in this season at some point.
That's right.
And we know that Dave Filoni is directing the 5th chapter in this season, and that's a perfect spot to come across the first Mandalorian. Is like, oh, hey, I know a Jedi, like that's the perfect spot for it to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you think Boba Fett will factor in?
I think there's going to be a bigger arc with Boba. This is just me, because I think he's the one in the 5th episode in the first season that walked up, and all you saw was his feet, and you heard the spurs. That cowboy on Tatooine. I'm pretty sure that's who that was, because me and my wife kept arguing back and forth whether it was Cad Bane or Boba Fett, and I'm like, I would love to see Cad Bane pop up, but it's Mandalorian, so it's probably going to be Boba Fett. And now we know that's who that was.
So this is the character who finds the body of Ming-Na. I forget what the character's name is. Yeah, that was on my list, and I never actually asked you, Mark, last week when we met, was whose feet were those? Who was that? Was it in my head it was just the Mandalorian going back to give her a proper burial, or something to the code of whatever, but I'm sure you're right now that I think about it. So
yeah, I think a lot of people thought initially it was the Moff, Moff Gideon.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the boots seemed really, when you see the boots, they seem very, very polished, and that was my first thought was, oh, well, this is going to be the big baddie that we're going to see.
Right.
Then we saw Moff Gideon. That was my first thought was also, oh, maybe that was Gideon. Maybe that was Moff Gideon. That he's, always in the background, kind of right behind him. But yeah, making it be Boba Fett would also kind of make sense too. But I had heard that rumor too that it could be a clone, clone trooper. But like I said, right now, until we hear otherwise, I'm going to stick with it's Boba.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other person it'd be cool if it is if we see Ahsoka later on, if it was Captain Rex. Because we know Captain Rex was in Return of the Jedi with the big white beard. They did squeeze him in, his beard off. Well, unless Tamara Morrison is playing Rex and Boba Fett in this season.
It's true, you got him.
I mean, it's a possible. I'm not saying that's what I think is going to happen. It's just the possibility is there.
Yeah.
So I mean.
Yeah, no, and I kind of wondered if the writers of episode 1 are the same writers later in the season. If there was, I like to think that when it's only an 8-episode season, they have continuity and everyone talks to everyone and we know, but part of me was just someone like, oh, I'll just throw that in there and then someone else can play off of it or not, We might never even go back to that character this season. It's like, oh, well, we'll give season 3 writers, a little bit of something to play with, but...
Well,
find
Dave
out.
Filoni's involved in this project, and he can do the long game.
Yeah.
He knows how to do the long game. You saw that with Rebels when he did the World Between Worlds episode with Rebels, and that was like a 2-year plan there to come back to that with Ahsoka. So he knows how to play the long game, and he knows how to make plans in advance like that to really make something pay off in the long run.
That's encouraging to me.
I think that's what it's going to be. Yeah.
That's encouraging to me to know, because I feel like I watch a lot of TV where you can tell there wasn't a plan even like 6 episodes prior, or they set something up, but it's for later that same episode, and that's always disappointing.
Yeah.
So that's encouraging to know.
Yeah.
All right.
What's the title of the next episode?
I haven't looked.
What's the title of the next episode?
I do not know.
I'm looking it up now.
Yeah.
I season 2 titles.
Didn't even look at that. So.
Because as soon as they said it was the Marshal, and then he said he was going to Mos Pelgo, I'm like, you got to be kidding! This is amazing. This is gonna be great. Let's see here. Chapter. Oh, that's not right. Hang on, that was like some leaked crap that. Somebody was like exclusive
on IMDb a couple days ago. It still just said, season 2, episode 2. So that I didn't look around. I'm always scared to Google too much because I don't want to be inundated with too many theories and too many what ifs. I like to have my
right.
Yeah.
I haven't looked it up. So,
I'm incredibly curious.
So, what do you think we'll see? More of our season 1 characters pretty soon, or you think they're going to drag it out a little bit to see Cara and Carl Weathers, whatever his character's name is, Moff Gideon? Because they showed all of those characters in the previously on, which I always take to mean is relevant, and then at least in this episode it wasn't relevant.
He'll pop up at some point. Okay, so they don't have titles for the next episodes released just yet, but the next episode does say that's the one they're going to Mon Calamari.
Ooh.
Oh.
So that will be that episode.
Mon Cala.
That's exciting.
That's gonna be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we've never seen the actual planet and like on screen before. We've seen it in the comics and stuff, but we've never seen it.
Oh, and this is really
well, we've seen it in the Clone Wars.
Right.
No, this is really timely for me.
It was in the Clone Wars. I was gonna go
watch the Clone Wars to see it. The next article I'm writing for Star Wars Insider is about adaptations of different alien races, and so someone told me because the Mon Calamari's eyes are so big and on the sides of their heads, that must mean that their planet is really dark, or that it's underwater. And sure enough, I had to look it up because I haven't seen all of Clone Wars, but so this will be.
I'm so jealous. I'm so jealous you get to watch Clone Wars for the first time.
I do.
I wish I could go back and watch it for the first time again. It's so good.
Yeah.
Yes.
But anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So, as we start to wrap up here, let's kind of we've already kind of got our initial thoughts. Let's talk about now of, well, we kind of did hit on what we think for the future and what we hope, for the next episode here. And
look at that. We're experts. We don't even have to segue into anything now. We just.
Yeah.
I know. We segued into a segue.
Okay, I have a really important question. Do you think that they could hear each other while talking on their speeder bikes while zooming around that?
I thought about that because you could hear him no problem. Like they were just right next to each other in a quiet, dark room, just with just telling everything. And I was like, "There's no speeder sound at all."
Yeah, there's no way, right?
And he wasn't getting sand. He wasn't getting sand in his eyes or nothing. Like, are you serious?
No goggles, no mask. I mean,
when you just did that, that reminded me of one of my favorite scenes, and this is crossing streams here again. One of my favorite scenes in what was the movie? Shazam.
Yes, that's what it was. I knew it. Couldn't place it. When
the big villain is monologuing the entire time, and Shazam's over here like, "What? I can't hear you. You're too far away."
I couldn't remember what movie it was, so I'm so glad you had the same exact. I was like, was that in Kick-Ass? What movie was that?
No, that was Shazam.
Oh,
that was Shazam.
Yeah.
Funny.
Yeah, that was great. Because
So, yeah,
it starts on him and Mark Strong, and he's just like giving this awesome like Hitler speech, and you're like, holy crap, this guy's pissed. And then it goes to Shazam, and he's just over there. You hear the what?
that at least explains why I thought it was Kick-Ass if it was Mark Strong. So yeah,
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
so funny. So I'm glad you guys had that exact same moment.
Yeah, I did. I was like, wait a second, why they got real quiet in the background all of a sudden?
Bring the score down, bring the stand down, bring everything down.
Anakin's Pod Racer wasn't that quiet.
It's exposition time.
Thank you. That was Pod Racer parts, right?
That was Anakin's Pod Racer.
Yes.
I thought so. I was like,
Yeah.
that looks so much like Anakin's Pod Racer.
That was exactly one of the engines off of his Pod Racer.
Yeah. Okay.
So he has a
Now,
speeder
this is
built by
pod
Darth
racing.
Vader and armor worn by Boba Fett.
Mm.
So now this is pod racing.
Yeah.
Oh, Mark,
Yeah.
why?
Now, this is pod racing.
Oh God.
I
we
also
don't do
really-
9-year-old Anakin quotes.
No. Well, I mean, do you want 19-year-old Anakin quotes? Because we can talk about sand.
23-year-old Anakin quotes.
Oh,
were
sorry.
okay. That one was all right.
How about the quote from the Marshal of what was the saying? Was like, the sun shines on sometimes both suns shine on a womp rat's tail.
That was good.
I'm going to use that
That was-
sometime in the next
That
week.
was good.
I liked that very much.
That was really, really good.
It just, it's like that world building. It's those little things,
Yeah.
when they jump
Culture.
between scenes, showing
you know,
the,
so he was
showing the
drinking.
animals,
Yep.
just little things,
You know,
Do
he was
what?
drinking blue milk.
Was
He
he?
was drinking blue milk
Was he?
Oh, I need to go back and look at
in
it
the
again.
bar. In the bar, the drink he pours, it's the blue milk.
Oh, and
Oh my gosh.
I just thought of it as being some bright electric
think.
blue substance, but
Yeah.
it could be.
It could have been, yeah.
Yeah.
I need to go back and look.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Such a good episode, though.
Yeah.
It was a great way to bring it back.
It was a fun episode.
Yeah.
And
even
once again, they did kind of what we talked to.
Oh, go ahead, Mark.
Sorry. They did kind of what they did a lot in season 1 was to have these kind of that while it still progresses the plot along, these are still standalone episodes that can kind of, like when the season is over and you want to go back and binge it, you don't necessarily have to do, watch this episode, then watch that episode, watch another episode, watch another episode.
Right.
You can watch them out of order and still get, a sense of what, this was just a fun little adventure in space. This was just a fun episode. Which is what Star Wars is. Star Wars should be fun.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, and I was talking about it with a friend, and that sort of episodic nature. It feels like, he was saying it feels like video games almost, where you're like given a quest, and so this is chapter 1 of that quest or chapter 9 of that quest, really, and then we'll have something different next week, and that sort of breaking it up. I was saying how much I might have actually liked The Rise of Skywalker if it was a miniseries. Because you can't go to 7 different planets and have 5 different quests in 1 2-hour and 20-minute movie. You can't. It's too much.
Right.
But something like this format, you can do things like that. And so this is the appropriate format, and they're doing it so well, and the production value is so good. Like that Crate Dragon. Considering how low tech the Gamorrean
the budget for
were.
that episode had to have been $50 million flat. Like it had to have been for that episode.
Yeah.
One thing we talked about this with our last episode, our first episode, when me and Melissa were talking. What do you think of the time on this one? Because the last season episodes seemed to be very short.
Yeah.
The whole first season was short.
40 minutes at most, and this one we got almost an hour.
Yeah.
I mean, we got 50 minutes.
We'll have to wait and see what the next episode runtime is. Because if it's up in the 50s again, then it's going to be that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that was the one knock that I had was the episodes were so short last season.
Yeah.
Like
you basically got a third of a movie with this first episode.
Yeah. If nothing else, they've proved the concept. So maybe they asked for, an hour last last season and was like, well, we'll give you 40 minutes. We're not sure about this. And then now it's like they can ask for anything because everybody loves this show.
Because that
basically Mandalorian's a gold standard at this point.
The one thing that I saw kind of a correlation with this episode and an episode last season was, I believe it was episode 4, the one where we meet Kara.
Yeah, Sanctuary.
There's a lot of similarities of, in that case, the monster was mechanical. In this case, the monster was, an actual real monster. But it's the same, kind of almost the same thing of the Mandalorian going in and teaching these people to defend, to help defend themselves, type of a thing, whereas, and they both had very Western feels to them. That one was, had the, 7 samurais, the Magnificent Seven feel to it. This one had, a
spaghetti Western,
spaghetti Western feel to it. But I'll say it again, and I've said it before. I didn't think they could make the chicken walkers look terrifying, but they made the chicken walkers look terrifying.
Yeah.
In that episode. That was just terrifying. Although, and we talked about this before, and I don't know if you'll agree with me, Brian, but to me, what made them even more terrifying was the reaction of the Mando and Kara after they found out what they were facing. When they come back and they're like, yeah, you guys got to leave.
Yeah,
you can't face these things.
Bad news.
And
you guys have to move.
Saying, I saw one of these things take out an entire platoon.
Yeah.
Yeah. This whole the tough Mandalorian, not afraid of anything. Yep, bad news. You got to move.
No, that's convincing.
And you're
I've seen Ewoks destroy these. I think.
You see it.
If you guys say so.
But then you see it. See it, and you're just like, oh my gosh, that thing is terrifying. Oh.
Yeah. Well, it's funny now too, because
that's like nightmare fuel.
Oh God, yeah. We had never seen a crate dragon before, but now when we go watch episode 4, and Obi-Wan does that crate dragon scream, now you get why the Tusken Raiders were shitting bricks and was like, we got to get the hell out of here, like we got to go.
Yeah,
and it makes a lot more sense now, because the only thing we'd ever thought a crate dragon was that skeleton that was out in the middle of the desert behiand 3PO, and everybody's like, oh, that was a crate dragon, but it wasn't. Like that's not a crate dragon. And now we know what it is. Absolutely.
What it is.
Did you guys already
got to the top of the mountain? It was just insane.
Yeah, I thought I really.
And the one thing.
Good.
Oh, sorry.
I just thought there were going to be 2, like because he had said, "Oh, that's bigger than I thought." So I thought, he had seen one and they had seen another, and then especially when it came out of the top, I thought there were 2, which I guess we haven't ruled out, but. Big things like that usually don't live den together or whatever. But
yeah,
I've never seen an abandoned Sarlacc pit before.
He mentions the Sarlacc.
Yeah.
Well, and that's in Terrell's guide too, right? In the field guide, it says that they eat Sarlacc if they can find them. So.
Oh,
that's cool.
Yeah. That's the line I was talking about when he said it's like there's no such thing as an empty Sarlacc pit. There is if something eats the Sarlacc.
Yeah. Here, I'll see if can you see the picture of it dragging the Sarlacc off?
Oh, that's so cool.
Right?
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah. So someone checked out her field guide and was like, yeah, we got to work that in. That's so cool.
That is cool.
Did you guys already know what a crate dragon pearl was? Because I had no idea. I found it on Wikipedia.
They mentioned
they mentioned them in Knights of the Old Republic. That was Legends stuff though, but they weren't that big. I mean, in Legends you could put them in, like in that game you could use it as a lightsaber crystal or whatever. But as soon as that Tusken pulled that pearl out, I almost like geekgasmed as much as I did when the Darksaber came out at the end of season 1. Like I was just like, you've got to be joking me. There's one, it actually freaking exists. There's one right there. That's amazing.
Yes.
Yeah, I had no idea what it was.
I had flashbacks to the egg. Last season with the Jawas.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, that was the first thing I thought. It was like, is that an egg?
Yeah, and that's kind of what I was thinking too. I thought it was an egg, and
I was expecting one of the Tusken Raiders to hack it open and then they'll all start eating it.
And I was thinking they were going to raise the dragon and domesticate it, and then like full Game of Thrones style,
I wondered I wondered if we would see a Crate Dragon Pearl, because the Tusken Raiders said that they wanted the carcass of the crate and all of its ichor. So everything that was still in there, I was like, are we going to get a Crate Dragon Pearl? Like, they know what's inside that thing. Like, please be a Crate Dragon Pearl.
Yeah, I heard that line, and I had to look up what ichor means, but I didn't know that
really?
little thing was coming. So that's very cool.
Yeah, it was awesome saying that they actually did have a Crate Dragon Pearl. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Great.
So we're all excited for next episode, it sounds like.
Yes, we are. Yes. Well, let's wrap up this episode, and we thank you, everyone, for joining us here, or that will be joining us when we publish this episode. And let's start off. Melissa, where can people find you at?
Oh, yeah. I am Melissa Truth, MELISSATRUTH on Twitter. I also have a website that's called howmanyscientists.com, where I talk about nerdy things like this, like the science of Star Wars, the science of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and all sorts of other nerdy properties. So you can find me there.
Oh, nice.
All right. And Brian, where can people find you on the internet?
Everywhere. You guys can find me on Spotify, Apple Podcasts with the Star Wars Canon Podcast, which is going to be coming back in the next couple weeks with 3 new co-hosts that are going to be joining me. We're going to be catching up on a whole bunch of stuff that we've missed out on over the last several months. You guys can also, if you're interested, if you've got an Android device, it's coming out on the App Store this spring. The Star Wars Canon Library mobile app is now available on Google. So make sure to download that if you guys are interested in keeping up with all the canon stuff. There's a timeline on there, a link to the podcast, links to where you can buy almost every piece of canon material that there is. And they're all Amazon affiliate accounts. So you guys get a little bit of a discount too if you get them through the mobile app. So definitely go check that out. I definitely appreciate it. And actually, Mark is going to be having the War of the Stars on the mobile app here as soon as I get the pages put together. And if you guys have a podcast out there that you would like to get on the mobile app, shoot me an email, and we'll work something out. We'll see what we can do.
All right. Well, Brian just mentioned it. You can hear me each and every week on the War of the Stars, a Star Wars podcast, along with my host, Joe Cahill and Ray Rumsey. You can email us. Our email is thatwastheway2020@gmail.com. You can also check us out on YouTube. Remember, it's same name, That Was the Way 2020. Remember, like and subscribe. It goes a long way. And you can find us on Anchor Podcast. We want to thank everyone who checked us out last week. We had over 25 listeners on Anchor, everywhere from the United States to Ireland to the Netherlands and the Philippines. So thank you all. I don't know how to say hello. I know how to say hello in Dutch, danke. That's about it.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, no, that's exciting. So hopefully we'll get more followers.
Yeah.
And I want to hear from people about what we missed, what we didn't talk about, and any more Easter eggs that I missed, because I'm sure there were some.
Check out the Facebook page. That Was the Way, the Mandalorian After Show. Just search That Was the Way Mando After Show on Facebook. You can find it. Twitter handle, That Was the Way 2020. And that is about it. That's right now where you can find us at. If you want to email me personally, my email is johntolley3930@gmail.com. And yeah, so until next time, I don't know how we're going to end this, but this was the way.
Yeah. I hope both suns will shine on a womp rat's tail for you. I don't know what the sign off is either. We'll think of something.
Yeah.